Welcome to the PR Maven Podcast, a podcast all about growing your network and building your brand through traditional and digital networking techniques. I'm Nancy Marshall, the PR Maven and CEO of Marshall Communications. Stay tuned for this week's episode, and thanks for listening. Welcome, PR Maven Nation, to this week's episode, one of our mini episodes, a quick and informative look at the key to a successful client-agency relationship. The podcast is presented by Marshall Communications, creator of the 65-step Marshall Plan process. For more information, visit marshallpr.com, and on the website under PR Maven, you will also find information about my two books, PR Works and Grow Your Audience, Grow Your Brand. This week, I'll be sharing my Forbes Agency Council article entitled, For a Successful Client-Agency Relationship, Engagement is Key. So let's dive right in. Having run a PR agency since 1991, I've worked with lots and lots of clients. Some have been more successful than others, although I'm proud of the fact that most are happy with our work and many have been clients for many, many years. Work with enough clients and you realize what works and what doesn't. Sometimes a client not working out can simply be a matter of bad timing. Sometimes it's a lack of mutual understanding or poor communication. Fortunately for us, it does not happen often, but some clients just aren't meant to be. If you're in the client service business, it's worth realizing this reality sooner than later. Not every client will work out. In my experience, the key to a client working out is engagement, and more engagement. I want our clients to be engaged with members of my team, constantly going back and forth on new ideas, secure deliverables, and everything in between. Typically, we have a single point of contact, which I'm going to call a POC, from our agency side, and the client has a single POC from their side. From time to time, there may end up being several POCs on the agency side or the client side, but one each is best. A single POC, or point of contact, streamlines the communication process and makes it easier to manage deliverables while stopping too many cooks from entering the kitchen. Of course, the more cooks there are in the kitchen, the more ideas get brought up. But more isn't necessarily conducive to efficient, effective execution. It can slow things down. For example, if a reporter is on deadline, you may need to execute within the hour, and interacting with multiple POCs on the client side can force you to miss that deadline and miss out on a potential media hit. Once that single POC has been established, a client needs to remain engaged throughout the process, whatever that process may be. Engagement can never go away. This means responding to emails in a timely manner, reviewing materials like press releases and social media posts that need to be finalized, participating in daily or weekly meetings, returning phone calls as soon as possible, and reporting successes or failures as they come up. When a favorable media hit pops up, the client should be informed right away, especially when you can take credit for it. After all, that's integral to client satisfaction. If a media hit isn't favorable, the client needs to be updated so the proper next steps can be taken. The most productive client relationships also require optimal time allocation. Clients cannot keep agencies in the dark, nor should agencies ghost their clients and go missing for extended periods of time. From our perspective, PR professionals cannot work in a vacuum. Our job is to develop strategies and tactics on behalf of our clients, but only with the proper guidance. It shouldn't be up to PR professionals to guess what a client may want or need. That's for the client to convey clearly. Over the years, we have had clients ghost us during the sales process, leading us to believe they would not be engaged once we began working together. If a client is ghosting you early on in the relationship, that is not a good sign at all. It's like dating. If communication is poor after a second or third date, do you actually think it will improve? If the first year of dating is weighed down by poor communication, how likely is it that circumstances change by year 2 or 3? Not so much. Long story short, PR agencies produce their best work when the client puts in adequate time and focused effort to engage. Long before we ever develop strategies and tactics for a client, we spend hours and hours just talking to them and listening. Observation may seem insignificant, but it's extremely important. That's how we develop our so-called Marshall Plans, which outline the ways in which we serve our clients. It takes many hours to even start thinking about deliverables. Think of it as a focus group, understanding the person across from you. Without market research, you can never understand the market. Client engagement is a collaborative effort. It requires buy-in from the agency and the client, no exceptions. The most successful client engagement is really just old school business, listening, talking, and working together to achieve success, just like dating. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to get a free PR Maven to-do pad, which is a coveted item by many of our friends and clients, by leaving a review and subscribing to the PR Maven podcast on your favorite podcast player. Then visit prmaven.com/giveaway and submit your information so we can send you a to-do pad in the mail. Now here is my friend Mike Duguay to share how my 2 books, PR Works and Grow Your Audience, Grow Your Brand, have helped him.
After reading PR Works, I really started to think about how marketing actually works. And I know that sounds a little bit ridiculous, but what I realized is what each platform nowadays that we use out there in digital media and social media has its own nuance and also quirks to it. And understanding how they're used is exceedingly important. Because when you have a hammer in your hand, everything looks like a nail. And you can't approach it that way in marketing. And that's where I think Nancy's brilliance really shined in PR Works. I think Grow Your Audience, Grow Your Brand is really sort of the manifesto of understanding that there's many different levels to marketing. It's on your personal side of your brand, how actually you express yourself through business, but also what people hear you saying and what they see out there in the public eye as well. So I think what's really important there, that's really the blueprint of how you go about using these new social media platforms, but also to express who you are as a human being. Because people want to see you authentically and genuinely working with not only what you do, but also with the customers. And Nancy, on a personal level, I think that's who she is. She embodies that approach.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the PR Maven podcast. I invite you to share a review of the podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast player. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. You can also join the PR Maven Nation on Facebook. It's free to join, and it's a great community of like-minded individuals who are all looking to learn and grow from one another. If you use an Alexa device, use your Alexa app to search the Skills and Games section to find and enable the PR Maven Podcast Flash Briefing. This will give you access to exclusive content and more PR and marketing advice. Thanks again for listening, and have a great rest of your week, PR Maven Nation.